I love how with one little letter, it reflects this ancient myth that the Jews still remember, and it is built into our New Year ritual. But the place that you see it the most is this one little letter. It's a lamed, a little lamed. So in America, when we wish somebody a good year, we say Happy New Year's, Shana Tova. But you don't say Shana Tova in the Jewish culture. You say Le Shana Tova. And that Le, that little Le, is the preposition for. It can also be two, but in this case it's four. Two, four. It's 2 times 2. When we say L'shana Tova, we're saying the first 2 words of a longer expression. L'shana Tova tichatevu v'tichatenu. May you be written and sealed for Shana Tova, a good year. So this idea of may you be written and may you be sealed for a good year was probably an image that many of the ancient Near Eastern cultures shared. But the other places where the Jews were, there were these 2 books. And in Babylonia, for instance, they weren't books, they were called tablets, the 2 tablets of destiny. And on the first day of Tishrei, which is when we celebrate Rosh Hashanah, the individuals in society were written into the tablets of destiny, and that was it. That was their destiny. Case closed, tablets turned over. But what we did was we took the first day of the 7th month, according to our calendar, and we turned it into an opportunity to do teshuvah. Because what we said is that the completely righteous, they're going to be written in the book of life. And the completely wicked, they're going to be written in the book of death on Rosh Hashanah. But the books aren't going to be sealed until Yom Kippur. And so that gives us 10 days to us. That gets us the mediocre folks, right? The folks who aren't completely one way or the other. That gives us 10 days to engage in teshuvah, in reorienting ourselves, tefillah, prayer, introspection, and tzedakah, doing acts of loving kindness to other people, for other people. It gives us 10 days to do those things that will help move us from being kind of a mediocre person who's not necessarily worthy of being in one book or the other, to being worthy of being in the book of life. And part of the reason we remember Adam and Eve on this day, and we think about Hayom Harat Olam, today is the day when the world was conceived. Today is the day that's full of possibilities and full of potential, is because it's actually, according to the Talmud, the 6th day of creation. When we humans appear on the scene, that's the first day of Tishrei. According to the Talmud, the first day of creation was the 25th of Elul, which is coming up Sunday night and Monday morning. So what we celebrate on Rosh Hashanah is the emergence of our potential. So on that day, according to the rabbis, when Adam and Chava were created, they were placed in the Garden of Eden, and they were given license to enjoy and use and eat from whichever of the trees in the garden they wanted, except the one in the middle, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. From that, they weren't supposed to eat. They could climb the tree, they could swing from the branches, they could pull off the fruits and rub it on their shirt to admire its sheen, but don't eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And so what did they do? On the same day they were created, they were put into the garden. They were told, you can do anything you want except this one thing. They did that one thing. But then something curious happens. Because when God had told them not to eat from the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, God continued by saying, for on that day you will die, yes, die, mot tamut. But we know that Adam and Eve did not die on that day. In the minds of the rabbis, there is only one possible explanation for why God did not kill them on that day. They must have done teshuvah. They must have expressed regret, remorse. They must have committed themselves not to violate God's will again. And for the rest of the Torah, we don't see any other instance of Adam and Eve violating God's will, which lends credibility to the idea that they in fact did teshuvah. So when we are invoking Rosh Hashanah, when we are invoking creation and God's memory of Adam and Eve, we are not just reminding God of what Adam did in terms of violating God's command. We're reminding God of what God did by showing mercy and compassion and accepting Adam and Eve's teshuvah in order to avert the severity of the decree. Yes, Adam and Eve still died, but they had a chance to have a beautiful family. Well, there were some problems, but okay. There's problems in every family. But they got to live hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Again, not a bad deal. And so what we say for Rosh Hashanah is, God, just like you showed mercy and compassion on Adam and Eve, please accept our sincere teshuvah. We need to look through the process of tefillah, through the process of prayer and introspection, at our lives and where we need to do teshuvah, where we need to reach out and appease those people whom we have hurt over the past year or whom have hurt us. And we need to clear that field. We need to clean the slate. And then finally, the last component that can avert the severity of the decree is tefillah, teshuvah, and tzedakah, right? We need to give charity. We need to give charity. We need to do acts of loving kindness. And through those things, we will merit, we will be worthy of no longer hanging in between the books of life and the books of death, but we will be written and sealed in the book of life. L'shana tova techatelu v'techatenu, to you, to your family, to your friends, from all of us at AJ, and we look forward to being with you in person to swing from all the trees in the garden next year.